Welcome to Chris and Carlette Live, a podcast about life, love, and overcoming obstacles. Each week, we discuss the good, the bad, and the indifferent of life's interruptions. Now, here's your host, Chris and Carlette.
Keep believing, don't go stressing, keep it moving. God, we're resting, here to help you, here to bless you. With God on our side, CNC Life.
Alrighty.
Yes.
We are live.
Yes, we are.
Chris and Carlette live. I'm trying to share this thing out to my Facebook page, and it doesn't look like it wants to share.
I did it like 3 times because it seemed like it was acting different.
Yes. The good, the bad, and the indifferent. Yes.
Yeah.
So what's going on? How was your day today?
My day was good. I was off today.
Talking to Mike, you're swinging.
This was my random day off in the week, and it was good. So it was like it was a 3-day weekend. So I'll be back at it, being a nurse tomorrow, helping people. And people, let me tell you something. Yes, the numbers are going down with the coronavirus, but get your mask. Wear your mask. Keep your mask on. I don't care what other people are doing. Don't get lazy in this. You know, stay consistent. Wash your hands. Shower. Wash your clothes. Yeah, you might be doing a little bit more laundry now, and that's okay. That's okay. But wear your mask. Have your children have their mask on, your friends, your loved ones. And please do not think it is rude if you have your mask on in the presence of people. I don't care if it's your family. I don't care. Wear your mask. You can never be too safe.
Wear your mask.
Wear your mask.
Hey, we had a great show last week.
Yes, we did.
My Bill was in town.
Yes, my brother.
My brother-in-law.
My brother, his brother-in-law.
Yes, that's my brother.
Javon Blakely, also known as Apostle Javon Blakely.
Of High Praise
Outreach Ministries International.
Yes, my Bill. I didn't say nothing. So you get the Russian and you can't get it straight up.
Actually, I did that earlier, so somebody messed it up.
Yeah, I did. So yeah, we're gonna do a little recap of last week, what went on last week, and so just stay tuned, everybody. Yes, sir.
Apostle.
I couldn't wait
Mr.
for this day.
Brother Javon Pierre.
Yes, Javon
Blakely.
Pierre Blakely.
Yes.
Come on over.
Come on.
My Bill. Yes.
My Bill.
We're going to start with these ribs.
Yeah, what we got?
All right, we got a slab baby back. In the pandemic, it's really been a challenge because you're used to preaching to an audience. And one part of the year, we know the governor and across the country, regulations were put in order, and I know we went down to 10 people, the essential people within ministry. And I remember that first Sunday where the people could not come, and I got up to preach and nobody's in the audience.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes, and I know the preachers know, sometimes you feed off the people. It's like they take virtue from you. And of course, the Spirit of God gives you things that you did not study. You know, when the people are saying amen and they're in agreement, you know, you can feed off them. But when there's nobody in the audience, you know, God really strengthened and perfected also me in ministry in that time. Y'all, let me say this. I got one of the best brother-in-laws. He's a man of many hats. And so he's not only a media man, video man, he's not just
Here come the punchline.
I mean, he's a gardener. he got greens growing out in the back. I mean,
I knew it was coming.
I came to visit. He didn't install a wet bar, a theater. The man just The Lord blessed his hands.
All
Whatever
right.
his hands find.
So, my brother-in-law,
Wait, I'm gonna add to it. My husband planted me an apple tree and a peach tree.
my brother-in-law, however, his resume is a lot longer than mine. So the Lord blessed Apostle Blakely. I don't know when this was, but a few years back, probably about 5 years. Somebody just gave them a church building, right? So here it is. They had to do some remodeling, and he became the general contractor. He did some of the work. He installed carpet. He laid flooring. He remodeled his whole entire office. I mean, you name it. He even helped install the audio stuff. I mean, it was just like paint, put up soundproofing.
Now these are the ribs.
Leslie Saul said, "Where's her plate?" She said, "Where's my plate?"
Woo, look at that.
You all, we made a little sauce, but for these ribs, you don't even need any sauce. They've been seasoned real well.
You know what I love about this cooking show? Food stays here.
What is the Lord saying to me in this hour? Hold on to what's already been promised. God has promised us. He's promised us things in the Word of God that we need to hold on to. And one of the things that I've gotten back to teaching is about the Holy Ghost. Mm-hmm. Jesus said, I must go, but I'm not going to leave you comfortless. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to leave you alone. I'm going to leave my spirit with you. Mm-hmm. And his spirit is going to lead us and guide us, direct us into all truth. And so it is the Spirit of God. It can't lie. It can't do nothing but tell us the truth. And so in this hour, we have to go back to what God has given us, which is prayer, praise, worship, the Word of God. We have to utilize those things that we've been taught.
All right.
That was good.
That was
and
good.
the food was good.
Yes.
The ribs did not need sauce, as he stated. I eventually put some on there, but it was not necessary. I didn't need that added sugar in my life.
That's my Bill.
Yeah.
My Bill knows how to cook.
It was very good, even with the stir fry that he did with the rice and the vegetables and the shrimp and chicken and sausage. It was very good.
You look good today.
Thank you.
You look militant.
Militant?
For this civil rights movement we're about to talk about. You look Black Panther.
Don't let me. I used to wear Tams.
All African people
Don't-
Revolutionary
Don't
Party.
let me go and find my Tam. I had a denim one. I had a black one.
Stokely Carmichael.
A beige one. Hey, didn't you meet him?
Yes. You did meet.
That's
did
all.
meet
You met
that's
him.
all
That's
we-
all you need
that's
to
all.
say. Right.
Yeah, that's all I need to say is I miss Stokely.
So here we are.
Yes.
Something that I want to do today, just real quick before we go and bring our guest in, is that, okay, so 2 weeks ago we had two educators on, elementary and a middle school. And, and then the week before that we became transparent about this whole virtual school and learning and everything. And so I've had to basically do the virtual school with my second grader, while I watch the teachers and the students, he has his class watching the computer. So, and I gave my story of how by September, I was just ready to just quit. Okay. And so after that, me and my husband, we re-strategized and it's been working. Okay. So that's with our second grader, Evan. Okay. So we have our oldest son, Christian. Christian was doing virtual from home with his computer, but we saw what was happening with that. I was talking with the teachers. I'm one of those moms. I give cell phone numbers. I'm like, call me, and it doesn't always have to be bad. Let me know how he's progressing. I do emails. Hi, is Miss Edwards? Yes. What you need to tell me? Or, hey, what's going on with Christian? And I've always had great dialogue with all his educators. So, but we made the decision to send him back to school triple layer mask, hand sanitizer. I got alcohol wipes and antibacterial wipes in his backpack. He has about 3 masks. I'm like, listen, we're going to anoint your hair with oil and you're going to go with God, but you're going to go get your education. Hallelujah. So after that, that was a good thing for him because everything is going back up again. Okay, so going back to Evan and the second grader and wanting to pull my hair out, but that we went past that. And don't get me wrong, it's still, we still have our struggles, but there is a system now. And I want to honor my son. Now, they said that most of these students are struggling at home with this virtual learning, and it is true. But me and my husband, we made the decision that will not be the answer or the final word for our children. Mm-hmm. And so I would like to show these 2 certificates. And these are 2 new ones because he got another one last month. And what these are, they celebrate Evan on his amount of work he does in this particular program called ClassWorks. Okay. He did the allotted amount during the time. He's received these badges, gold badges, silver badges, and then they gave him this other one in another section in ClassWorks. And I'm just saying, through it all with this struggle, he is still on top. He is progressing. He has been getting his last report card straight A's, and I'm so happy for him. I am so grateful, and I just want to honor my son, Evan Edwards. He's our number 2 young man. He's our baby boy, big boy. But congratulations, Evans. Keep up the good work. Keep working hard, and keep following directions.
Yes, so you don't get no spankings.
Listen, he's a sweetheart. He's a sweetheart. He loves people. He loves caring for people. And you know what? Evan loves to pray.
Better rod, spoil a child.
Evan loves to pray.
Mm-hmm. Turn your mic.
Anybody?
Yeah, there you go.
This way.
Yeah.
Anybody need prayer? You can call Evan. Hear me good.
Yeah, pray over your food too.
He will pray. He will pray over a cracker.
Well, we have 2 dynamic speakers on today.
Yes, we do.
We have, you see, I gotta switch back to that angle. We have 2 dynamic. I mean, when I say dynamic, I mean this is like, out of top 1. Well, I'm not gonna rate my guests because I love them all, but this is a very important broadcast for us because we have 2 of the original. See right here, we got on our shirts, we got on our bling, said Tougaloo 9. Yes, we have 2 of the original 9 that help Black folk, African Americans, to get into the library. The library. I got my glasses on. Let's see. I'm just going to read this a little bit. Outside of the old Jackson Municipal Library on the State Street sits a Mississippi Freedom of Trail honoring courageous efforts of the Tougaloo College students. In March of 1961, the students Joseph Jackson Jr., Geraldine Edwards Hollis, Albert Lassiter, Alfred Cook, Ethel Sawyer, Evelyn Pierce, Janice Jackson, James Sammy Bradford, and Meredith C. Ending Jr. weren't allowed to access the library due to the color of their skin. 6 years ago, Black people did not have the opportunity to read a dynamic book in the Jackson Municipal Library, said Geraldine Hollis, who was a sophomore during the time of the read-in. Hollis said that there was, I'm going to let her talk about that. But that's just to give you a little bit of background. I mean, they started the civil rights movement. I mean, how did we?
They're alive to tell.
And they're alive to tell. How did we stumble upon Mrs. Hollis?
Yes.
So let's go ahead and bring Mrs. Hollis, and we're going to bring Mr. Jackson on live. There they are. Mrs. Hollis is joining us by phone, and Mr. Jackson is live in Technicolor. Hello, you all.
Hello.
How are you,
It is,
Mr. Jackson? How? I think I got you muted, Mr. Jackson. Hold on, wait. There we go. How you doing, sir?
I'm great. God is good.
Good, Mrs. Hollis. You doing good?
I'm great. Yes, I'm looking forward to this.
Oh yes, we've been talking about this for a few weeks now, and we're so excited to have you all join us. I mean, this is history in the making. I mean, you couldn't get any better than this when it comes to civil.
Well, it's the history in making for us.
Yes,
This
well,
is history that's been made.
yes. So
We have the honor and the privilege to allow another platform for them to tell their story.
yes. So I don't know who wants to start it off, but you know what? I always let ladies go first. So Mrs. Hollis, can you introduce?
Well,
Go ahead.
Do you want to tell how, like you said, what was the connection? How did we get
Oh,
here?
so we were visiting some friends in Jackson,
Morris,
Mississippi,
Pinta and Purnell Moore.
Pinta and Purnell Moore, and we were in their African American
Civil Rights
Museum.
in Jackson, Mississippi.
And so we're just, going around and, looking at the different photos and stuff in the library. And so, I look up and, Tougaloo 9, it was, a group of 9 individual students. Life size. Yeah, we hadn't heard about them. We didn't know anything about. So we're talking, and all of a sudden, what did I say, babe?
You was like, look at that.
Yeah.
Look at who that is. And here it is, Miss Hollis. She just casually just walks up, and it was just a little crowd of us, maybe like 6 or 7 people. It was about 2 families, us and another family. And she said, "Would you like to hear my side of the story?" Mm-hmm. And we looked at her, and we looked at this life-size photo. It was like, oh my God, this is you. This is you standing right here.
Camera.
This is you standing right here, and you want to tell us your side of the story. Now, people, how many times have you went into a museum and you look at all the exhibits and pictures and landmarks and all these things going on? Have anybody ever walked up to you and said, "That's me"?
I mean,
No.
I had to look twice, 3 times, 4 times.
Yeah. I was like, okay, like this is unreal. And I know I couldn't, and I didn't. I really wanted to just hug her and cry. I wanted to just hug her and cry. So this is where we start. We start from the point of how this is how it was God ordained. Because at that time, we didn't know we were going to have a vlog, a podcast. We didn't know. And here we are. And it was like, my husband's like, we have to bring in the Tougaloo 9.
Yes.
Okay, so Miss Hollis, we'll start with you, as my husband said, ladies first.
Well, thank you very much. Now, I enjoyed listening to your dialogue together, and that's one of the things that I really remembered very well about your family. We were able to communicate. There was conversation.
Yes, it was.
And this is the Mississippi 2 museums. The reason it is 2 museums is because one is about Mississippi and the other one is about Black history.
That's right.
And I was definitely in the part where there is history. Since you opened this up about the museum, let me just tell you that in 2017, August of that year, that was before the museum was finished. But we had an acknowledgement at the Jackson Library there on State Street, where we were being acknowledged for the first time, giving us each a plaque and those little medals to acknowledge that we were the ones that made a difference in that state and in that city. And we were very grateful for that. And I'm just going to bring this part in because Joseph Jackson was not there. But I had the librarians to give.
Uh-oh. What happened?
Miss Jackson?
Miss Jackson? Hold
And
on.
when we took,
You broke up a little bit, Miss Jackson.
okay, Joseph and I were pretty much closer than some of the others, although Joseph was not there to mix in with us. I always kept the idea that we were going to find Joseph and he would be able to come back into everything. So that was a part of the museum and the library. And being in the museum, it is larger than life. I don't know of any other parts of the library or the museum there that has their participants looking as though they are still alive and well, with all of the pictures, and the whole area has the mug shots.
Yes.
There is a sea of mug shots of we would call celebrants, but those are the people who put their lives on the line and who were arrested in the state of Mississippi and in the city of Jackson for doing just what we did, and that was to let people know that we were citizens, that we had rights, and we wanted our rights.
Wow. So, okay, so bringing in Mr. Jackson, take us to your planning meeting. The 9 of you coming together and planning this sit-in at the library. Take us there.
I would have to open that up with one place that I remember very well. I'm sure there were other areas on the campus of Tougaloo that we congregated in order to make some decisions and things. But I lived in a dormitory right next to the sociology department, where it was an area where we could discuss things that were pertaining to history, civics, government things, and also the fact that we were allowed to listen to and understand those people who came to our campus who also were doing things that would change the history in our city and state. And the names were the ones that are well known for civil rights.
Okay.
So I, as a person, got introduced to so many of them. And at that time, that was really a big deal to know that there were people who were willing to put their lives on the line in order to make a change for all of us.
Okay, now, Mr. Jackson, you come on in. You tell us, Mr. Jackson, if you can come in and chime in about your perspective of how you all planned this.
Well, actually, I have to give the appropriate credit to our civil rights leader, Mr. Medgar Wiley Evers. Mr. Evers was the first NAACP Negro field secretary of the state of Mississippi. And so once he organized us on the campus of Tougaloo Southern Christian College, it was his strategy, his planning, instead of thinking about staging the continued sit-ins in restaurants and boycotting businesses. He decided that he would organize us and began planning the Tougaloo 9 to stage a reading in the library. So I have to give him the credit. And actually it was under his leadership that we were able to move forward in this planning of a reading at the whites only main library in Jackson.
Wow. All right. So you all said, okay, here's nine individuals said, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to do this. We're going to basically risk our lives, risk our freedom, not knowing if we will see our family again. We don't know. And we're doing this for now and the future. So where was your head the day of it? Starting off with Mr. Jackson. What were you, what was your emotions? What were you mentally while you overeating your cornflakes? I'm about to go do this.
Well, Mrs. Edwards, I have an audio book about the life of Medgar Evers. It's titled Medgar Evers, Mississippi Martyr by Dr. William Michael, Dr. Michael Vincent Williams. And I just really had to analyze Medgar's life.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out that prior to him becoming the NAACP field secretary, he had spent 2 years in the World War II. And obviously, prior to preparing us for this daunting task, with the risk of laying our lives on the line, before March the 27th, I think maybe we began mock demonstrations. I think maybe around about January or February. Now, these mock demonstrations was to prepare us mentally.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
For what we were about to embark on. And so on the campus, I don't know how many nights that was spent. Mrs. Hollis can probably elaborate more on that. But it took us many nights in mock demonstrations. We were the ones that was being prepared to what we might encounter with white mobs and etc. And so the opposing group, who we were all members of the NAACP Youth Council, those that were playing the role of the mobs, they would then treat us as if we were in a real violent situation. And so they would pour water on us. They would use the N word. If we were sitting in a chair, they would just push us out of the chair. And so with those several mock demonstrations, that's how we were prepared mentally. I would say it was a form of brainwashing, because the moment we entered into the library, our focus was only doing what we were there to do, and that was to purchase our books for our class project.
Wow.
And so we were just really, I mean, it wasn't any thoughts about our lives or anything else purchased, but following the training that we had began to memorize and to go forward. So that we were ready mentally. And
okay.
It wasn't overnight, but it was because of those mock
demonstrations.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the reason why we were prepared to even lay our lives on the line.
Now, I think
that was no consideration.
I think about the mock demonstrations you see in the movies. I remember the one of in the movie The Butler. When they were gonna do something, I forget what exactly they were gonna do. I think they were Black Panthers or something like that, and they did a mock mock demonstration of being at the counter. It was a reenactment of something that actually happened. Being at the counter of the diner, and the water, the spitting, the N word, pouring ketchup on them. They did all that, and how they understood. They didn't even retaliate then. You know how many people possibly could have or maybe did walk away just after the mock demonstration, and you all stayed. You stayed. And so Miss Hollis, bringing you in. Okay, so we know there were mock demonstrations. It's the day of. You're mentally prepared. Can you take us to you all going and marching and starting your reading?
Okay. When we left the campus, there were more than 9 of us.
Okay.
There were people who were designated to seek and see what was going on, to see what was happening. I remember one particular girl was supposed to be looking out for the police and looking out for things that could probably make a difference in what our plans were. There were quite a few young people that we knew that was a part of the training group and those getting ready for the group. And when we got to the first library, we went in there. But the reason why it was 9 of us, it was because we were the group that came along, and we were the 9 who fit into a station wagon.
Oh.
Wow.
Some of the others had other ways to move around, but those of us who were in the station wagon got the opportunity to go in that Carver Library, and also to be driven to the Jackson Municipal Library. We had lookouts. That's what we call them. I know some names. I'm not going to call their names. I don't know what their lives are like. But there were some of the young people that I knew very well. They were on the lookout. Some of them did not really want to be a part of the full spectrum because they were out of towners, or they had some other differences in their lives, because most of us that went in had chosen responsibilities in terms of who our family members were, a minister, a business person, or things like that. Because if they had been municipal workers, the parents would have lost their jobs because of what we were doing. So those things were pretty much a part of making the difference in who and what and how we went into this library. That's one of the big things that I remember quite well.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So when you say remember, for both of you all, does this experience that you all went through, does it still resonate as if it were yesterday?
It really does make a difference in my thinking and who I am and where I've come from. Mm-hmm. I have spoken to so many people, young people over the years, and I go back to my memories, and I tell them, like between my age of birth and 1961, there was a lot of things that were hard to understand. Mm-hmm. As a young girl growing up, I remember that I could not go into a place and enjoy the same things that people that did not look like me, or rather I would say that I did not look like them, mm-hmm. who had the opportunity to enjoy things that I could never really be a part of. Wow. And this was always a yearning. And I think that's one of the reasons why once I found out about libraries as a girl, I always wanted to read books. I wanted to read magazines. I wanted to see how other people lived. So that was a part of my justice. my justice to be able to know that there were things that I could do because other people could do them in other areas, but they could not do them in the state of Mississippi and Louisiana.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
so that gave me the impetus to want to be the kind of person that I was for me. And I can only speak for myself because I would have been um, that kind of a person. I was that kind of a person, even in elementary and junior. Well, it wasn't junior high school, but in high school. So I knew that I wanted to make a difference of myself. And thankfully, my dad was a minister, so that that helped me to be more outgoing because you had to learn how to do a lot of things, and you had to learn how to accept a lot of things. You had to learn how to make a difference, and most of that difference was about having your ideology and having the faith that if it can be done, I can do it too.
For you, Mr. Jackson, how does, like, man, I have so many questions. How does this event, how does it, how was it after that? Like, did you all continue? Well, let me even back up. I know what I was about to ask. So when we read that this was like, was this one of the first civil rights movements in history, or was there others before this? And so that's question number one. And then question number two, why hasn't this story been told just like the other civil rights movements?
You want Joseph or Geraldine Hollis to answer
Mr.
that?
Jackson.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Jackson.
Actually, this was my first unplanned civil rights movement that I was involved in. But listening to my colleague, that we are very close to each other. We both of us took a philosophy class at Tougaloo, and when Mrs. Hollis mentioned her father being a minister, now I understand why she stood so close to me in that life-size poster. I'm on the end, on the left side, and Mrs. Hollis is the young lady that's standing close to me. Now I know why she did that, because I was there on a ministerial scholarship from the Disciples of Christ. And I actually had to follow really in the footsteps of my role model, who was a minister, who was famous, who was assassinated in the city of my birth, Memphis, Tennessee, and that was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Wow.
He was the type of minister that I really chose to really develop my life like. And he was involved in the civil rights movement. And then in Black history, ministers basically, they were the spokesman and the movers and shakers in other civil rights activities. And so I didn't plan that, but that was my first involvement in the civil rights movement.
Why do you? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Now, Mrs. Hollis may be able to help me in answering the second question in terms of us not getting the publicity during that time, during that day. And I do believe because they were, meaning the political people, the White Citizen Council, they were planning on celebrating the centennial anniversary of the Civil War,
Oh wow.
where there would be 3,000 uh, white men dressed in gray military uniform marching. And because of that planning to celebrate such a horrible war, it's no way that anyone would want to publicize the fact that 9 black uh, college students from Tougaloo had integrated their whites only library following the celebration the next day of the Civil War. So I think Mrs. Hollis can maybe add more to it, but by Mississippi being considered a closed society, the power that was in charge of the political structure in Jackson, especially the governor, Ross Barnett. There's no way he was going to allow that kind of publicity to supersede the planning of the centennial anniversary of the Civil War.
Ms. Hollis, did you have any to add to that?
Well, I didn't hear quite clearly everything that Mr. Jackson said, but I know that I did hear him say Governor Ross Barnett.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons why you didn't hear anything about the Tougaloo 9 is because it was positive. It didn't have any violence within our group, and it was not. It was something that should have been shared among the citizenry, but because of what we had done, that probably just was not sitting right with the governor, who just swore that he was not going to integrate the state of Mississippi, that he was not going to allow that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was his mentality, his belief, and his thoughts throughout the years. So what we did was successful, but it was not something that was celebrated. It was more like it was held in limbo, because we didn't even hear a lot of things about what we had done. And I knew for some years that what I'd done, but I didn't understand why it was not being acknowledged. The only thing that I know that was acknowledged because of our read-in was that because of the civil disparities, that there was a move to get the schools integrated, but that was a no-no for Mississippi because of the stance of the governmental rules there. But the library systems were integrated this next year. That was put into the basis of what did happen because of our city and our read-in. But I always wondered why didn't someone in the state acknowledge what we had done? We had given up on a lot of things to be able to do that. And the reason I'm saying that is because many of the students left Tougaloo after the read-in because they felt as though their families or their lives would have been in jeopardy. They did not come back and finish their degrees at Tougaloo. But I stayed there because I was on a special plan. I had planned to finish college in 3 years and 3 summers. But I did not even go back for my graduation because I needed to leave there once I finished those things and to be able to find a job to do my next move. So this was imperative for me, that I never understood why what we did was not celebrated. What happened is that because of the day after, and there was the debacle with the dogs and the police and all of the negativity, that was more of a thing that took the interest of the newspapers and everything, that this was something that they should acknowledge, but they never did acknowledge the Tougaloo 9 in terms of a citywide or a statewide event that happened. So just living through the years after that, we had nothing to say. Even for me, with inquisitiveness, when I moved to California about 6 years, 7 years later, from that event, I wanted to search to see what was happening. I could not find anything because everything was held at the Mississippi Department of Archives and History, but it was not made known or available for us, those of us who learned how to search and to want to find out why, what, and the reasons why the Tougaloo Nine was not acknowledged for what we had done.
Wow.
And to me, that was the most gravest thing, that all of the other states pretty much was acknowledging the fact that they had been integrated peacefully or negatively. But with Mississippi, it just did not happen, because really what we're talking about is that because Mississippi actually thrived on the violence more so than the accomplishments of education and those kinds of things at that time. And all of you might not know it, but you see, when the Freedom Riders came through, I'll just call him Mr. Barnett. You see, he made a stance that he was going to stand strong and Mississippi would not be integrated. Come whatever. So that was his stance.
Wow.
So, okay. We keep going around it, but what actually happened was, so help me with that, Miss Hollis. You went to the library and you walked through the doors. Were you even able to get a book or even sit down?
Yes, I think that with Joseph and I were two of the people that did go to the desk. There's a picture in the museum and a picture in some of the things that I had on. My whole dress was so that you could know who I was. I had on a raincoat and a cap that matched, that was green. I was the only one that had a cap on. And I walked up to and the reason I had these things was because I protected my body. You might not have heard this, but you see, we knew what we were going to do, but I protected my body. I was dressed in layers of clothing underneath those things, because I knew that there was a possibility that I might have a billy club against my head. So I had a cap on. There was a coat that had a jacket under it. There were underclothes and other things to keep my body from being broken, bones broken. I had things probably in my pockets to hold on to, or to continue to cover my body and my bones, because I wanted to be well prepared for what I imagined could have happened with the tolerance and lack of tolerance in that particular state and that state of thinking. So I was one of those people who did want to go in and ask for the book, not only to ask for the book, to seek to go into the shelves to find out what my book was. I don't remember the title of the book right now, but I do remember that I was told that I could not, that I was not supposed to be in that place. And I'm sure I counted with something like, well, it's a library and libraries for people. So that was probably my statement. And so once we all got a book, we sat down and we were told that we didn't belong there. That's what they said. You don't belong there. You belong to the little library down in the colored part of the city, and you don't belong here. You're not welcome here. That's the way we felt. We felt it. We knew it. But that was our motivation, because we knew that in order to make a difference, we had to stand still and we had to stay focused.
Oh my God.
So I noticed that there were a lot of Caucasian, I'm not going to say white people, there were a lot of Caucasians in the library. There were not any patrons that we could see, but there were men there before the police, the police department came in with their guns and everything on them. There were detectives, there were other people there that were in the library. They weren't patrons, they were there looking at us. So I have something that I've learned later that somebody had informed the national news that this was going to happen, and they were there probably because they knew that this was going to happen. But I guess they didn't believe it.
Wow.
See, this is when you hear stuff like this, it reminds you of something else we have taken for granted. How many people, be honest, I know we're in a pandemic, but before the pandemic, were you visiting do you have a library card? Things that we take. Now, one of the things that we always get stressed about the vote. And yes, we need to vote. The power, we saw this past election, the power of our vote. Okay. We've seen the power of our vote, I would say, the past 12 years. Okay. However, even the more we're told to vote, people died. Well, I'm going to say this. Here is 9 people that could have died just for the privilege to go to the library and check books out. They didn't do it just for you, for them. They did it for us, even for today. So I admonish you, go get your library card just on general principle alone. Your children, go get a library. Check out a book.
Some children don't even know about a library nowadays because everything. Yeah, but
and
still, that experience is
Let them know. The system, the library system. Dewey Decimal System. Go and find how to do that. We had to learn. We had to take a test on how to do that. I remember going to the library and taking a class on how to check out a book and how to find it in the Dewey Decimal System. Go in there, check out a book. The first thing you do that we do when we moved, because we've moved to many states, is within the first month, I take me and my children and we go register to vote. I get my registration updated with my new address, and then we all get library cards. I do that within 30 days of wherever we move. Wow. Seriously. And the library has been a major asset in my life since a child. My mother used to take us to the library. My mother used to rent equipment for our birthday parties at that time. She used to do the film projector. Mm-hmm. But my point is, here's something that you don't think about, and here's some people that almost died for this right.
Yeah, in my experience, as Mrs. Hollis said, that when we approached the library desk, my experience was I was there to check out a philosophy book. I don't recall the name of the book, but when I approached the desk of the library and I spoke to this white lady who obviously was a librarian, and I told her I wanted to check out the philosophy book. And there was silence, and had the look on her, at least on her face, as if she wasn't sure what she heard coming from someone that was black. And she, of course, politely told me that you are not allowed to be in this white-only library to check out a book. But there is a colored library on Mill Street, which was known as the George Washington Carver Library, which we knew in advance that they did not have the books, that we came there to check out. And She said, yes, and you would, when you really go there, you will be welcomed. Like Mrs. Hollis said, you will be welcomed there in the Carlette Library. And then I remember hearing someone say, they said, the police are on their way.
Mm.
Well, I was not going to stand around waiting to check out that psychology, that philosophy book. I looked around and my other colleagues were sitting at tables, and I just went and grabbed the book. I don't know what kind of book it was, but I had a book, and I sat down also.
Mm-hmm. Wow. This is so awesome. Where I got so many questions. Did you have another one?
No. Keep going.
So, okay, so let's jump ahead 5 years after this event. What type of mindset were you like post graduation? Well, no. Let me even go back there. Let me go back. So we have 2 of the 9 on, right? So I understand that one gentleman passed away. And so have you all been in contact with the other 3? What is that? 4, 5, 6?
There
6.
were 5 more.
Yeah.
There were 2 deaths.
Okay.
2 deaths. One in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
That was Evelyn Pierce.
Okay.
Her name was changed. And also this past month, in January, Merritt Andens passed. There were no things that happened for the Tougaloo 9 until 2006.
Oh.
Wow.
Nothing, no acknowledgement, no nothing. And 2006 is when we had our first acknowledgement as a group and we were welcomed by the city of Jackson. And it was at that time that there were 7 of us there in person, and Evelyn Pierce was there on the telephone because she was ill at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, no one knew where or what about Joseph Jackson.
Mm.
Wow.
But I always had hope that I would catch up and find Joseph Jackson.
And come to find out, he was in the same state.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Okay, I'll let Joseph give you a little bit on that, perhaps. But yes,
That's 46
Joseph
years. That's
Yes,
46
it is.
years. Nobody said anything. Okay,
Yes.
so I charge every church, every educator, every professor, every youth ministry leader. Listen,
History buff.
historians.
Yes.
Listen, put them,
CNN.
all of that.
Yes.
Say their name. Put on the Tougaloo 9. Educate yourself and feature this. Add this to the Black History lesson, not just for February. Have your children to look this up and learn of this. And how I know this, that we have to know more. And don't get me wrong, I do not dishonor and discredit our Dr. Martin Luther King, our Medgar Evers, our Malcolm X, and Coretta Scott King, and Rosa Parks. But we hear the same names all the time. And I'm gonna tell you, and you have to watch that, because with this virtual learning, this past Black History Month, I heard my son's teacher tell the entire class that Dr. King was assassinated while giving a speech. That was not right information. And you had all these children sitting there like, oh, wow, that's something. And it was wrong. So not only do we need to educate for the truth with those, but expand it. It's so many other stories. And here is one that I charge you all that's listening. Pass the message along and bring it to the forefront. We have to hear about this.
Mr.
We
Jackson
have
has
to.
some.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Jackson.
Yes. One important point that I really want to make. I am really financing all of the Tougaloo 9 shirts that are being worn by many of people that are really responsible for bringing our history to the public. And I can't thank both of you really enough for what you're doing in helping to bring this historical event within the week of our 60th
Yes.
anniversary.
Yes, 60.
And I have a very, very close friend of mine who was at Raft's supermarket. And she was wearing the T-shirt with the mug shots, which are most requested by those that I ask, what kind of shirt do they want? The mug shots, or the one that really shows all four of us standing together, arm in arm. And while she was shopping there in the produce department, a black woman came up and saw all of those black faces on the T-shirts, and she inquired and said, "Who are those?" Well, my friend opened her jacket up where the black woman could really get a full view of these mug shots, and she began to tell the story about the Tougaloo 9. And this black woman said, "Wow, now I've got to go and really find out more about my black history."
Mm-hmm.
And this lady happens to be Caucasian. That's why this black woman is asking a Caucasian woman about our history. And so that's why I want to say, wear the shirt with pride, which I know you two will.
Yes, sir.
Because it's going to create the interest of others who see those shirts with the mug shots on it. So that's all I want to say is that this year, Quentin Smith interviewed me during Black History Month. He was sent a T-shirt, and now the week of us entering into the celebration of the 60th anniversary of the Tougaloo 9, now you two are blessed with T-shirts. So
Yes.
I just want to thank you for what you're doing.
Oh, no problem.
It's
It's
our
an honor.
pleasure. It is an honor.
How can they get the T-shirts?
Yes.
I thought you said that you had received the T-shirt.
No.
No,
How
we
can
have
people?
ours.
How can individuals order the T-shirts?
Oh, just actually, we have two distributors.
Okay.
Yeah, I have two ladies that distribute the T-shirts.
Well, how about this?
I
We can.
have been given permission to give one of the ladies' telephone numbers. She's
Okay.
given me permission. So, before you show in, I can give you the phone number,
Yeah.
and those who want one can just call her directly.
Well, how about this? If any of those watching want a T-shirt, reach out to me, or
Right.
Carlette, and then we'll put you in contact with Mr. Jackson to get one of these phenomenal T-shirts.
Yes.
Don't put
Right.
it. I put all my T-shirts like this in the cleaners.
Yes. You do not wash this
Don't
T-shirt.
wash this T-shirt. Put it in
No.
the cleaners and let them do it, and
Right.
it'll preserve the
Right.
Image.
picture
The
image. Yes,
image,
thank
yeah.
you. One question. I think your son is around the corner,
Yes. Legacy. Yes.
Mr. Joseph Jackson the third. Where's he at? There he
There
is.
he
How
is.
you folks doing?
Yes.
Waiting patiently.
Yes, waiting in the background. There he
Yes.
is.
Yeah. He does that.
Miss Hollis, we have. I know you can't see, but we have his son on the screen. So
how you doing, Miss Geraldine?
Guess what? I know him. I have never met him, but we are connected.
great.
Yes, we are connected.
So how is it in sunny East Coast? I'm not gonna say where, but sunny East Coast. Well, West Coast. I'm sorry.
Beautiful weather. Good.
Good.
Spring.
Good.
70 degrees. Nice breeze.
You know that's one of my favorite places. So, so when it comes to legacy, as my wife said, and you heard, I mean, when did you come into the realization that, man, my dad is this person that is not only awesome, but he helped the civil rights movement? When did you have that aha moment growing up?
Well, growing up, being a child in Memphis and living in the segregated, city of Memphis, my dad, like he said, he looked up to Dr. King. He was a role model for him as far as a minister. And hearing Miss Geraldine talk about her father being a minister, my father being an ordained minister and being in Memphis, and he had all these books. Because I was young. I was 8 years old when we left. 8.5 years old when we left Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
So I really didn't know about the Tougaloo 9, but he was always about the struggle. And so we had the strong spiritual foundation, always in church. But his main thing was he always was talking about Dr. King. Had books on Dr. King. And it was about our being in church and our spiritual foundation. So by Dr. King coming to Memphis with the sanitation workers, that's right there on the TV, on the news as a kid. And so that was such a big influence on me to where, as a kid, things are kind of blurred. And so I just saw my father was right. He was right in the mix of all of this. And so that was just such a big influence on me. And so here I am, an 8.5-year-old kid. I'm in Memphis, and Dr. King is assassinated. Mm-hmm. And so you're seeing martial law implemented right in front of your face. We have to be off the streets. You know what I mean? And it was traumatic. And so my father had already come out here to California to find a spot to bring us out, but we were still in Memphis. So witnessing Dr. King get assassinated, and then we're still in Memphis. Then we hear about Robert Kennedy getting assassinated. You just saw the hope of people just lose hope, And I'm talking about an 8.5-year-old. I felt it, And so we left there in August of '68. But after that, coming to California, I was traumatized as a kid. It was like I'm still stuck in that time frame.
Wow.
And so that's the makeup. And so where I found comfort as a kid was because my father had books on Dr. King and had all the pictures in it. And then he had a book on the life of Jesus. It was an animated book. And that's where my comfort was studying the life of Jesus and looking at Dr. King. And so it molded who I was. And so I was always raised about the struggle. And so like I said, it wasn't until later on when, the Tougaloo 9 finally, like in 2006, I think he found out about 2009 with it really being honored, but he always lived it, always stood about the struggle and being all that you can be. And so he was my hero, and so that set the tone for me. And so in my life, again, of teaching my children that, I saw in Time magazine about it gave a timeline of our Black history.
I have one
And
more
I
thing.
knew that I wanted to do something like my father did, was to make put my life on the line, or to make a statement with my life like he did with Tougaloo 9. And so that's where going to the Million Man March in 1995 was my moment.
Wow.
And so seeing that being a part of that, because again, that was the first. They didn't have all. They realized all these black men were going to come and watch, as you all know about. But first, none like the first, because you don't know what you're walking into. But to see in that timeline that made, it was just like, wow, But all I wanted to do was follow in his footsteps and be able to make a contribution and make a difference, in the lives of our people. And I'm really honored to know Miss Geraldine because she's also taken it to the next level because, again, seeing what she's doing is understand that we need to, as Black people, have a better awareness of who we are. And that goes with eating right, what we're eating and exercising and really learning more about, our power, because I felt the civil rights was about us seeking acceptance, but we really have to find our identity. And once we understand our identity as a people, then we really empower ourselves. But it's only because of this man right here. Like I said, he is my hero. Lady had asked me, was doing a survey and asked me that question. She's like, well, who's your hero? I say, well, my father. He's my hero, my best friend. And I know I never could come with any. I knew I always had to be on point if I came and asked him something. So it made me always strive, to be the best. And so
Right.
I owe it to our spiritual roots being in the church and him being about the struggle. So,
Wow.
That's
so that's what it was like for me and the influence it had on me.
Wow. Mrs. Hollis, did you have something to say?
Yes, we were going through the timeline of the acknowledgement of the Tougaloo Nine,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to let you know that it was in 2011 that was the 50th anniversary. And that was probably one of the best acknowledgments for the Tougaloo Nine, and it was held at the Tougaloo College along with places in Jackson. And it was at that time that we also got some plaques and acknowledgments from the city of Jackson on the fact that we were the group that opened up the city of Jackson and the acknowledgments thereof.
Wow.
Um,
So I know the hour is late, and
There's a question that came through.
what's the question?
The question was, this Mr. Tory Jones. This is the husband of our guest from 2 weeks ago, Miss Jones, the educator. So that lets me know they are watching. Is anyone writing a book or creating a documentary film to immortalize the Tougaloo Nine?
yes, I have written 2 books.
Oh, please give us the name.
My book that I wrote in 2010, because no one had written a book about the Tougaloo Nine. When I went back to the 50th reunion, I was destined to make sure that the documentation, from my point of view, was in place. And I brought with me my book back to Mississippi, and it is in Kindle, it is in softback and hardback, and it's online at online places. And I did that, and I also, a couple of years later, for the younger people, I wrote another book which is called March Memories, which is a dialogue and a book that is small, but it can be read over and over and over, because it is to help people to see how they too can live their lives and acknowledge the possibilities of being their best. And based on some of the things that I dealt with, and giving ideologies on how they too can be at their best. So it is a book that will guide them. They don't just read it, it is something that they can use all of the time to help themselves in all kinds of categories to meet the justices and the injustices and the rights and the responsibilities of living their lives
Right. So
in this society.
there is a documentary, Mr. Jones. I think the teaser will be out on 3/27. I'm not sure. You might just want to Google them, Tougaloo Nine on Facebook. But there is a documentary that's about to be released. And Mr. Jones, I'm a filmmaker as well, so I have to talk to Mr. Jackson and Mrs. Hollis offline so we can see about some other things. So
Yes, that. Excuse me, Mr. Edward.
I would also like to share with you that I have not been not doing anything. I speak to scores of schools. I
Okay.
have spoken across the United States, as far as Wisconsin and Virginia and Chicago. I was a speaker at the at the National Library Association in 2017.
Gotcha.
So the book and the Tougaloo Nine and the things that I participated in are available online in terms of just Google. And I tell people, if you want to know about it, Google the Tougaloo Nine, Google my name, Geraldine Hollis, or the Tougaloo Nine, or you can even Tougaloo College, Tougaloo alumni, and you can get some information on that.
Okay. And Mr. Jackson, what were you going to say about the documentary?
Yeah, I spoke with the director of the upcoming documentary about the Tougaloo Nine, Jeff McKinney. He lives in Montgomery, Alabama, and he advised me that the documentary would not be completed on the anniversary date.
Okay.
But the trailer will be online on the anniversary date, which would be March the 27th.
Okay.
And he told me that the title of the documentary is The Spark That Caught Fire.
The Spark That Caught Fire.
That's the title of the upcoming documentary. And we also, the Tougaloo Nine, possibly will have a book completed by the end of this year, which will be written by Mr. Michael O'Brien.
Wow.
So he is working on the book. He lives in Vienna, Virginia. And I stay in touch with both of these gentlemen. So that's the only information that I can offer right now.
Right. And I know the hour is late. In 2 minutes, Mrs. Hollis, can you just give us closing remarks? What do you like to happen going forward? What can we do to help promote and so forth?
Yes, I would like to enlighten you that there is a young man who is writing the book that will be inclusive of the Tougaloo Nine. His name is Michael O'Brien. And because it is such a tedious book to get together, and he is writing it with all of us included in there. My book basically tells you from my point of view, but he has gone through and he has gotten interviews with all of the Tougaloo Nine.
Wow.
And so he is making this a more of a historical documentary, and also it will be a textbook. And he is writing it through the University of Mississippi. So he told me recently that that he is pretty much there, but he's gathering the information from all of the news and documents and the archives and things like that. So he wanted it to be true to the level of enlightenment.
Gotcha.
And so he is writing on that, and it will be a book, a textbook, a book that will be the true history of the Tougaloo Nine.
Good.
Our lives, our contributions, and our participation.
Good.
All I can say about myself is that my goal has always been something like ambiguity.
Gotcha.
And that it says that I was born by the Mississippi River, uncertain of life, a future and the results, living in our little shack. I've been studying my history and I'm not going back.
Wow. Wow. Thank you.
Wow.
Mr. Jackson, if you could wrap it up in about 2 minutes, what would you like to tell the people? Just, how to move forward, fight the power that be. That whole, hey,
look at the times that we are. What word of wisdom is what you're really asking
Right,
for?
right. But still, fight the power.
You know what?
See, Junior. The third, he knows about that. He knows.
Mr. Edward, you've already expressed my thoughts and my continuation of being in the struggle. So all I can say is that, the day that we started to fight, the one thing that we knew was right was the day that we as black people started to fight, keep your eyes on the prize and hold on.
Wow.
And that is what we've got to continue to do. And my activism really has been resurrected because I'm definitely going to have to post my thoughts with regards to what Georgia and some of the other states are trying to do with regards to voter suppression legislation.
Mm-hmm.
See, and I'm not going back to the days of Jim Crow. So
it's been a lot of talk about that.
I'm going to stay in the struggle, and I'm going to be posting my opposition against what is going on in these United States of America, because the enemy is still there.
Yes.
Now I will say this. He said about Jim Crow. You know, there's a book out that was written by an African American author, The New Jim Crow.
Mm-hmm.
Our pastor told our young people a few years ago that every parent should, once they become a certain age, they should read that book to understand what's going on systemically. And
that's by Michelle Alexander.
Yes,
I do have that book.
Yes.
The New Age of.
That's why I speak to schools today whenever they call.
Wow. Good.
I think my son wanna.
Yeah. Hey,
I would just like to say.
Hold on one second. What is third? Hold on. I'm gonna bring you.
Third?
Yeah, he's a third.
Okay. Yeah,
hold on 1 second. I just wanted. I only can play just like a snippet of this, but I just want to bring you on for your comment. Hold on.
Okay.
Best equipped, best prepared troops.
All right, hold on. Let me go down a little bit further.
Okay.
All
right, that's it.
There you go.
All right.
It's very important because, again, if you're talking about from my father's and Miss Geraldine's generation into my generation to this next generation, again, in my generations where they pumped the drugs into our communities. Yeah. And a lot of our brothers are locked up in jail, again, got caught up in the gangbang because, again, they took the organizations like the Panther Party, and some of the others that were about the struggle. You're talking about Stokely Carmichael. So what we have to do, what I noticed is a lot of my father's been able to talk with a lot of people. I'm a martial artist and a yoga instructor, but the younger generation of creating that bridge. So a lot was lost in the history within my generation. And so we must go back and teach this younger generation, be mentors. So I work with organizations like Save Black Boys and Yoga for Youth, but that's where the gap is because they don't know that history. You try to talk to them like, well, I don't know nothing about that. Because again, a lot of my generation was caught up in the drugs and in the streets and taken out of the homes. And so it was just with the woman, the black mother raising the young men. And so, again, we need to go back, and that's what my goal is what I strive to do to make a difference in our youth is be a mentor and to help. And so when they talk with my father and they get a chance to hear the history, then we can bridge that gap because there's a gap right now.
Right.
And so that's a responsibility that we have.
How can people reach out to you? You on social media?
I'm on social media. I'm on Facebook. I have two things. One of my things called Stick and Move Martial Arts and Yoga, and MST Creative Wellness.
If I was still out in LA, I had to come and see you. But we want to thank all three of you all. You've been such a wealth of knowledge for us in our Black African community, African American community. We want to just thank you so much. We truly appreciate you being on our show from the bottom of our heart. It's been an honor. I mean, I love you all for what you've accomplished and what you've helped us to do as a people, as a race, as a generation.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Carlette.
So listen, I honor you. You know how they say their name, and usually when they say that, they're talking about somebody that has passed. I say your name and you're alive. You're
Thank you.
alive and well. I say your name. I honor you.
Thank you.
And the others that's not on, and those who have transitioned on. We acknowledge you. We honor you. We are so thankful for what your sacrifice, so that we can have a liberty today.
Yes.
And so
Thank-
I thank you.
Thank you.
Listen, people, when you hold your library card, I bet you hold it different now.
Yes. And
I-
think of the Tougaloo 9.
Think of the Tougaloo 9. Pass it on.
Just
Say
go to the
something on-
library
Yeah.
tomorrow. Just to,
If your local library is, yes, go with your mask on, wear gloves to touch the books if that's how you feel, or have some sanitizer on you when you come out and clean your hands. But go do it. It's a wealth of knowledge in there, and it's something that, believe it or not, some people take for granted. So go and do it for yourself. Do it for the Tougaloo 9, for their sacrifice. And like I said before, all educators, all pastors, all youth leaders, all historians, all civil rights activists, bring up the Tougaloo 9. Do your research. Get in contact with them and have them a part of your program live. I mean, why they're here.
yes, you got them right here in
You
your presence.
have them here. So
Thank you.
And
I would like to
and,
say that I have 2 Facebook pages. Mine is Author Geraldine Hollis and
yes.
Geraldine Hollis, which is more for my community. But
Okay.
Author Geraldine Hollis, and I have a page that is Back to Mississippi and March Memories, which is my book page. And I also, because I am a living witness on being healthy, fit, and well, I don't sell anything, but I use that as a platform to let people know that they can be healthy, fit, well, and
Yes.
living well.
Gotcha. Well, we
Well,
thank-
no, 2 things. Tori Jones just said, thank you for creating a runway for us to fly from.
Thank
He
you
wanted to
very
say
much,
that.
Mr.
And Miss
Geraldine.
Angeline Hill, our producer's mother, I'm taking all my grandkids to the library Saturday to make sure they are informed of the Tougaloo 9. And get them
Thank
some
you.
library cards too, Lady Hill.
yes.
Yes,
And you
we
can
give
get in
library
touch
cards
with-
to anyone that will open up an account with them nowadays.
Yes.
And also, the library is open. It's called Anything. Anything.
Anything.
The library has been expanded upon. Like I said, I went to the conference of the American Library Association as a speaker and participant. And I am in touch with some of the things that go on with the libraries today. So always try to fulfill that need, because not only can you get books, you can get tools and things like that,
Yes, you
and lots
can.
of support from the library.
And you get free Wi-Fi. Guys, you can go in there
Yes, you
and
do.
use the computers and, get yourself going on till you're able to get your own computer. The library,
That's true.
there's much. You can use the space to have a group session, I'm sure, once the pandemic clears or whatever their guidelines are now. But there is a lot. I know with our local library, there is a lot you can do. But here is something that he wants to play on our way out.
No, well,
Oh.
we're going to let them go. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, I wanted to give my page, Tougaloo 9 page.
Okay.
Dr. Shandell Maxwell is the manager of
Yes.
our page. And you can contact, you can go online and type in www.thetougaloo9.com.
Gotcha.
And all of the available information will come up on that page.
Great. Well, we thank you. We're about to wrap it up, and we'll be calling you all after the show. So just stay
near your phone.
by your phone, and we will talk to you all later. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Blessings to you both. Thank you
All right.
both.
You too.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Wow. What do you say about that interview?
Miss Hill says she's ordering 10 shirts.
That's right. Hit me up, Miss Hill. Hit me up.
She
I'll
says
put you
she
in
is ordering
contact.
10 shirts. Call us, Lady Hill. You know we'll get it for it. We'll get you connected.
Yes. And if you would like to help us financially, we would appreciate if you could Cash App CNC Live, $CNC Live to Cash App. We do pay our guests when we can, so please feel free to Cash App us. The equipment that is here is all financed by, viewers like you and me. So if you can, we would appreciate if you could just, a small donation of $25. Maybe you might do that. If you give us $25, we'll give you a prayer cloth. Okay. Okay, so yes, if you just want to cash
and y'all wonder why I just be walking out sometimes.
If y'all just want to cash app,
if you just want to give, okay,
yeah.
Because you're getting a return every time you watch. Amen.
That is it. But we appreciate everybody. That was a great interview.
It was amazing.
What did you think about that?
It was amazing. So next week.
Yeah,
guys,
what is next week?
Next week, again, remember I told you all for the month of March, we are focusing on the youth, okay? We have another focus for April, but this next week is the last Monday of the month.
Thank you, Miss Angeline here, boy. I love you.
See, ask and you shall receive. You. Yes.
Yes.
So next week, dear friend of ours,
yes,
Miss Donna Dallas will be our guest, and we are talking about how to introduce budgeting to your children.
Yes.
If you want to break some financial cycles, you teach them early.
Yes.
Teach them early how to balance a checkbook. I know we're not really doing, even if it's electronically. You can.
My bill. Hold on.
Okay, We on live, Bill.
We on live, Bill.
The check, whether it's electronically or whatever the case may be, but it's introducing how to do finance and budgeting with your children. A lot of kids don't know. They don't know how to pay bills. They don't know about credit and how they
Ooh, thank you, Mr.
Finance.
Jones.
Mr. Jones. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Tori Jones. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Can you disconnect?
My brother-in-law, he's trying to call. Brother-in-law, you live on our show.
Is that what he's trying to get on the show?
Yeah, I don't know. Brother-in-law.
You live on the show. We have our show going. Oh, see. So next week, Miss Donna Dallas, bring your children. She's going to give you step by step how to do this.
Yes, brother-in-law.
Okay, how to introduce budgeting to your children. He's on.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We're on live, and you're on live.
And they hear you.
They hear you too.
Bless you all's ministry.
Amen.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Pray all is going well.
Oh,
yes, sir.
I hope you were watching. It was amazing. We had some civil rights historians, people who started that are still in the struggle, but to fight. They started the first ever sit-in at a library.
Yes.
So people need to go to the library and get a library card and start taking that stuff for granted, because some people almost lost their lives just so we can have access to a library.
My brother-in-law was on the show last week, y'all,
Yes,
so
was.
You got to catch it. Yes. Love my Bill. I miss you, man.
Miss you too, man.
Yeah.
He'll call you back.
Yeah, I'm ready for you.
Uh-oh.
If you know what I mean.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
All right. Yes, sir.
Bless you.
Bless your bones.
Okay, so guys, thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you.
Please like, share, and subscribe. Like on our Facebook, subscribe to our page on Facebook and YouTube, and share this.
Yes, share it.
If this was a blessing, yes, it was. I know it was. Share this to your pages so others, friends that we don't have that you have, they can watch it. This, I'm telling you, this is history. People need to know this. They need to look. They need to find out who they are, and this is history, and they're still here. You have the opportunity. You had the opportunity to hear people live.
You didn't have to go. Well,
you didn't have to go to Jackson, Mississippi.
Right. They're still living.
They are still alive and well.
And on our show.
And
Chris
on our
and Carlette
show.
Live.
That's
But
favor.
we're going
I'm
to
grateful.
We are going
Don't.
to
Don't. You done already did it once. Please don't. Because you don't want to get tagged and then people can't view.
I'm just gonna play a little bit.
You've already played it. Already.
We love y'all. Talk to you later.
This is why.
Fight the power. Yeah.
Click in.
Listen if you're missing.
You
Yes.
did it again?
Yeah, just that's
Okay. How do I press off? How do we press off?
okay. I'm about to close out. Fight the power, y'all. Fight the power that be. Elvis was a hero to most. Elvis was a hero to most. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, we will see y'all next week. Peace. Oh, is my button not working?